Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
HomeFront Sitrep! An anthem for those who serve after service. There's a voice rolling out across this land, from the heart of the brave to a helping hand. My hands, they're telling the tale of warriors who still ride the trail. From boots on the ground to boots off the shelf, it's about those who serve by being themselves. They build, they heal, they stand and defend. Long after the battle, they're still watching their friends. On the home front, Sitrep, the stories get told of honor and heart of the brave and bold. From coast to coast, through every state, they shine a light in LA. For the ones who serve and those who give back. Podcast of fire, keeping us on track. Yeah, it's more than a mic, it's a mission they rep. Telling our truth on the home front Sitrep. From shelters and dogs to jobs and rides, to battles with demons they won't let hide. Every veteran with boots in the fight gets a moment to speak, gets a moment of light. It's not about glory, it's not about fame, it's about calling out every unsung name. They're lifting the fallen, they're building new roads. With every story, the purpose explodes. On the home front, Sitrep, the stories get told of honor and heart of the brave and bold. From coast to coast, through every state, they shine a light in LA. For the ones who serve and for those who give back. The podcast of fire, keeping us on track. Yeah, it's more than a mic, it's a mission they rep. Telling our truth on the home front Sitrep. So if you wear a uniform or love someone who has, tune in, hear the stories that remind us what lasts. It's community, it's courage, it's never done. It's the fight for peace once the war is won. On the home front, Sitrep, the stories get told of honor and heart of the brave and bold. From coast to coast, through every state, they shine a light in LA. For the ones who serve and those who give back. The podcast of fire, keeping us on track. Yeah, it's more than a mic, it's a mission they rep. Telling our truth on the home front Sitrep. So here's to the vets and those who step in. This podcast is where the healing begins.
All right, that's not the video I was expecting to happen, but you know, when you're gone for a couple of weeks, some things happen. David changes things around, but everybody, welcome to a Sunday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. Candace, how you doing today?
I'm good. I am good. It's been a while since I can go, I'm good.
Right? Yeah. It's been a while since I've been able to even just log on and, you know, have my face on here. But yeah, I've been busy. You know, obviously the trip to Japan, came home for a couple days, took off to Arizona. So last Sunday, Monday in Arizona, came home for a couple days, took off again on Thursday, I think, for Texas, came home. And now the next couple weeks, I got a ton of crap going on. So
I know I've been of them recently too, but how was your trip? Like, let's talk about Japan.
Japan is always a great time. Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni, they roll out the red carpet for all the performers, right? Whether the civilian performers or the military performers. I love going over there. I love the culture. I love the food. The, you know, Japanese food in Japan is very similar to Japanese food here, unlike China, right? So, but you get the yakisoba, you get the yakiniku, you get the shaba shaba, you get, you know, hot pot, whatever you want to call it. You get, oh my gosh, so much good food. I feel like that's all I did was eat. I mean, we hit up like 2 or 3 different ramen spots while we were over there. And, you know, we took a day on the back end and stayed in Tokyo and, you know, went down the Shibuya Crossing, which is the big famous crossing that's in every Japanese movie, especially recent year movies. and we did. I can't call it what I want to call it. So we did Tokyo karting. So street carts. So it used to be called Mario Kart, and then a certain company that owns the rights to that got a little upset. They sued them, and because of the national news that it made over there, it's become very popular, and that company has been able to open 3 different spots over there. So, but yeah, you tour Tokyo on golf carts. You have a guide. Yeah, you have a guide that takes you everywhere, and they have like outfits and costumes you can wear. And I'm glad David's not here because he would have pulled up the photo and put it out there. But we all dressed as minions, and even our guide put on the minion costume, and we drove around Tokyo as minions. But no, it was fun. I don't know if I'd pay to do it again. Maybe go a different route, or from a different area. But it was fun. People just lining up, even Japanese nationals just taking pictures of you as you're driving down the road in these golf carts in these ridiculous costumes. But now it was fun. It was fun. And then, the 13 hours over 11 hours back, and then the time changes, 13-hour difference. And then, going from there back to East Coast time, and then shooting over Arizona right now, because they don't do the time change stuff, is 3 hours behind. So back to, a 10-hour difference. And my time's all screwed up. My days have been all screwed up. I mean, you're lucky I even made it on tonight.
Catch up. Oh,
yeah.
Goodness. What day is it?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Is it 7 in the morning or at night?
Yeah.
That's
So, but and then doing the honeydew list, like we spent all day today doing, ripping out the old mulch that's been there for a couple of years. We just been putting on top of it. I'm like, we got to pull it out, and so doing that. It was a nice day here today, and I'm hoping it stays that way for, especially through Memorial Weekend. We have, I think, 5 jumps throughout Memorial Weekend, everywhere from Rockies Run for Freedom up in Miamisburg, Ohio, to the spring and the summer event down near Clarksville, Tennessee, and man, so much good stuff going on with the team. And then, of course, summer's right around the corner, right? The last week of school for my youngest is this week. My oldest, I know we talked about it a little bit beforehand, but he did get a job with a local police department as a cadet. He's already impounded 3 vehicles and written a ton of tickets. And one of the tickets he wrote, and it's all parking tickets, right? Because he's 18, so he doesn't have full law enforcement, capabilities, jurisdiction. He can't pull people over speeding or stuff like that. But one of the tickets he wrote was to my wife's coworker's husband. I mean, he didn't know, he just ran the car that was parked illegally, or, the feeder, the meter went out, and he's like, yeah, all right, ticket. There you go. And the guy's like, well, I'm going to contest it. Mike is like, I don't care. Really don't. I'm doing my job.
A meter went out. I mean, you're right. No favoritism, right? Like, you can't learn that early on.
Yeah, no. And the guy that he's training with, it's funny, is lives in the neighborhood. So he knows of me, right? He knows where we live. And he's like, your dad's the Grinch, right, at Christmas? He's like, yeah. He goes, man, I love that. I love that so much. So he's like, but yeah, it's a good deal. And there's a couple other guys that live back here that work with the same police department, and they know Micah. And then, he was able to be part of, all last week was police week, right? And then the 15th was Police Memorial Day. So he got to take part in that locally here. He didn't get to go to do the big DC trip, but, him getting exposed to some of that stuff early on. He took like 6-7 dozen donuts to work. So because of the last name and the movie Mr. Deeds, he's got the nickname of Longfellow. And then because of the donuts, some of the people are calling him Nuts, donuts. And then a lot of his friends, and if you don't get the reference, I get it, they're calling them Judy Hopps from Zootopia, I think was the movie. It was an animal-based cartoon, and Judy Hopps is a police officer in the movie. So all of his friends are calling him Judy Hopps. And then my youngest called him Judy Hopps too. But no, he's having a great time. I mean, we couldn't be more proud of him. 18, and he's just finished up his junior year, and starting what he wants to do for a career. right? Not just a job. So
That's awesome. Awesome.
but
Awesome.
yeah. And then, of course, David's missing tonight. He will be back tomorrow, hopefully. So everything runs a little bit more smoothly. Hopefully, Candace and I can keep it locked down and we can keep our host on track or at least have some fun tonight with David being gone, right? I know he's probably watching because he's at his daughter's archery awards banquet. But yeah, tonight
sorry, nothing he can do about it.
yeah, right. Unless he logs on from where he's at and just shuts us down because we're just too off the chain.
Julie will hurt him. So
yes, she would. But yeah, tonight's guest, the Army veteran, served from 84 to 87 in 1st Cav down at Fort Hood. He then spent a little bit time at the DMZ with 2nd Infantry Division in Korea. After he got out of the Army, he spent 14 years in the law enforcement community and then did some, health club / whatever was it? Health club, running it as, the manager. And then he's been with the Patriot Guard for, 14 years. And I'm not going to step on his toes too much to talk about his mission, but he has started a new thing called anonymously grateful. Man, I hate that freaking word. That gets me every time.
I thought Willis was.
Yeah, Willis would have tripped over it more, like 10 times. At least I got it on the 2nd time. Yeah. But yeah, Jose Cerda doing some great things out in the community. He's also another, mine are back there. They're always right there. Doing, he's a podcast host as well. He's interviewed guys from Vietnam to Somalia to Iraq and Afghanistan. So yeah, let's bring him on. Let him talk about his stuff, his time in the military, his time as a law enforcement officer, as a health club, running the health club, and then what he's doing now. I can't wait to hear that. And we all know what great work the Patriot Guard does. So without further ado.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Hey, hi, guys. Hey, Gunny, Candace. Once again, thank you for having me on and helping us spread the mission that we're doing here in Iowa.
Yeah, no, thanks for taking the time to come on. We know that everybody's time is precious. We all have lives outside of the podcast world, right? So to be able to take that hour and change to come on and talk about you and what you're doing and the lives that you're affecting is greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Start off, like you had said in the intro, I was up in the demilitarized zone in Korea, Fort Hood, with the 1st Cavalry Division. And, when you enter the military, you're young, you don't care or don't give a
Yeah.
You don't care what you experience and stuff, but, we got to experience National Training Center and the Mojave Desert and live fire exercises and stuff like that. I think at the time I was there for training there, desert training. During the live fire exercise, one of the surveyors got shot up, and then so they held that, and then we did another exercise called Desert Charger at Fort Bliss. So obviously we were getting ready for some type of desert warfare in mind, and then did the time there, and then deployed to Korea. And like I said, I was with the 2nd Infantry Division up at Stanley, and that was, I think, more intense. But like I said, when you're young and dumb, you just don't care what you experience. And we would rotate to a certain part of the demilitarized zone for our rotation. So during the summer, they were looking for lifeguards, and we had to go through Red Cross training. I'm not sure if you ever. Oh yeah. Yeah, Red Cross training is pretty tough, and I'm not a big swimmer, so I did the Red Cross training. But the thing about it, once I got it done, I was happy because I was a lifeguard for the summer, and so I got to carry my own passes and stuff like that. Because when you're at the when you're at the militarized zone, you're only allowed either an overnight or so many hours off the base and stuff like that. So I got to carry my own passes, and that was a fun summer for me. But during the monsoon season, the rainy season, I didn't think they'd ever use lifeguards out in the field. We lost 3 guys. They drowned.
So Willis and I spent October and November of '98 in Southern Korea, so Pohang area, and a monsoon came in, and there was a call that came over the radio: do whatever you can do to stay warm and stay alive. Well, most of the Korean Marines packed up and left. They went back to their camp, but 9 Korean nationals died that night from either being caught in flash flood or from hypothermia. So yeah, people don't understand that, when it rains like that monsoon season, it comes quick, and during your time up at the DMZ, did you ever get to go to the defector room and, stand on each side of the room there where you can stand in North Korea, South Korea?
No. Those are the top guys that got to be there. We had an opportunity to visit, to do the tour up there, but it's when you're just deployed, you want to get downrange or go sightseeing somewhere else, like in Seoul or something. We didn't think it was that important. Our platoon commander or sergeant would always say, if North Korea decides to advance towards our location, all we are is a speed bump. We're not going to stop them while we can have so many Claymore mines up positioned out in the sectors there. It could blow some of them up, but they're going to keep coming because of the numbers. So but it was pretty intense. But you don't think of that stuff when you're young. So other than the death you experience when you're there, or when you're training. So but it was definitely an experience, and I do not regret one bit of it. So did you when you got out, did you transition directly into law enforcement, or was there a period of time where you were trying to figure out what direction you were going to go after you got out of the Army? I knew I was going to go into law enforcement, but went into security. Iowa around 87, 88, Iowa started having the riverboat casinos around that general area, and I got hired on one to be a security supervisor. I did that for a bit, and then I started testing for local agencies, and I got picked up by a smaller outside agency, and it's been my law enforcement career with them, but in law enforcement, you experience certain things that people don't experience as well. That you see certain things that stay in your mind, or you tend to do things that you're trained to do. Anything from CPR to handling calls that most people, civilians per se, Gunny, are not aware how they would handle a scene or an incident. So
we talk about it quite often here on the show, how when we're in the military, that when you're training, things could happen, and Willis and I experienced that within our first probably 2 months of being in the Fleet Marine Force. After we got out of the School of Infantry, we watched a guy get shot on a live fire range. He just crossed over the path of one of the machine gunners. And then, of course, when you go to combat, or armed conflict, whatever you want to call it, right? Because there's been no combat or war since so that there's the possibility of injury and death. But those first responders experience it, whether it's fire, EMS, police officers, dispatch, because they have to listen to all this, right? So it's a different type of trauma, but you guys see trauma on an almost daily basis compared to what we see just, serving here stateside. And I wish more people could grasp that and understand that. And I wish more organizations were around for our first responders, because there are very few that are doing things with the first responder community, especially on the mental health side of things, with post-traumatic stress, with traumatic brain injury, with the post-traumatic growth side of that. Because you can grow, right? You can experience positive things after experiencing a traumatic event. It's just you have some of those opportunities have to be presented to you, right? Or you have to go out and find them. They're not gonna reach out to you, right? They're not gonna hunt down every single law enforcement officer or first responder and say, hey, we understand you went through this. This is what we have for you, right? So you, as the first responder or the veteran, you need to actively seek your stuff out.
Yeah,
it's crazy how big that community is, because it's not, you start from your dispatchers to your officers or your firemen to your EMTs to even your doctors and nurses are dealing with some of those cases coming in, and it is kind of forgotten, and people don't think about that when those events are happening. Everything's focused on the officers at hand, and they forget how much more there is to that, and the people that are dealing with those scenarios.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the active duty guys or girls that served our country, so when they ETS or get out or what have you, they do go into some type of a government position, be in law enforcement or fire or medic. It's just because that it's to me it's our calling, to serve either our country or our community. So, and then it's something that sticks with you and you hold to heart. So,
yeah.
So, tell us about this nonprofit that you have started. Tell us about it. What brought it to light, and what are you doing out here in the community?
Yeah, well, like I said, I've been a member of the Patriot Guard Riders for 14 years. I have friends in Ohio, Columbus area.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. So so I started 14 years ago, and after I got out of law enforcement, I ran a gym, and at that time, the DAV of our area was in need of a van to transport our veterans from here to Iowa City, and I said, okay, that's cool. So I started thinking, okay, what can I do to help them raise money to purchase a van? So I was running the gym. I had a boxing ring. So I decided to have a boxing card. So I held a local boxing matches and raised money to give to the DAV to purchase towards a van. So that was about 2008, 2009. And then that's when I met Eric Swanson. He's our local Patriot Guard captain. He did 4 tours in Vietnam as a sniper. He was a recon. He's my logistics officer for my new mission, but he's been a huge mentor for me as far as what I do today. And I met him that year, and then in 2011, we got wind of our first local, well, not our first, but our local BJ Luxmore was shot and killed in Afghanistan. So I wanted to reach out to them to do something for the family, and each family that I've met through the years, I keep in contact with. I don't say, okay, I'm gonna just do this and I'm done with you. It's not right for one. It's disheartening when I see certain organizations do that. But so I reached out. We had reached out to the Luxmore family, Brenda and Leonard, and offered our sincere condolences and asked if it was okay to honor their son BJ. And of course, he was married with Jamie, and they had a son Lane, and they gave me the consent to honor him. So the following year, I held a fundraiser in his name. I held an MMA card. I got someone to hold. Brought us a cage, and we held an MMA card, and we raised money for the BJ Luxmore Foundation. So, and then after that, I started doing more and more and got more involved with the nonprofits. I co-founded another mission, Thank the SEALs, where we honored the Navy SEAL and a local family. And then I did that for 5-6 years. And when we honored the SEALs, either we would ride either to East Coast or West Coast. And that's to deliver the monies raised for them. And then personally, so we've been to Virginia Beach, we went to Naked Warrior there. And then the West Coast, we actually visited the Navy SEAL training facility there in Coronado.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that was an honor to walk in the area where the SEALs train. And the Navy SEALs that we met during that time and that period of my first mission was an honor to meet with them. And I met a bunch of Marines too, because the Marines and the SEALs are one, being recon or they're there in the thick of things. And that's why their bond is so tight between the SEALs and Marines, because of they know that if the Marines are tied up or in a confrontation, they need help, the SEALs come in, and vice versa. So it's amazing relationship that I see. But that's with all the armed forces, because I know we're out for each other. And then I founded a second, co-founded a second, and then I was getting called to a different direction. So I got that second mission started, and I started to step back, and I was battling some mental things myself, and then I stepped back and started that podcast. It would be like a way to me. It was a way for the guys and girls to share their experience in the military, a way of them to heal and tell their story for future generations. So I'm still doing that. I think I got like 7 or 8 podcasts on there. I had 3 more, but when I tell them that, just like when you guys tell me, just share what I want to share, and that's what I tell them: is share what you want to share. Don't go down that rabbit hole. And some people them 3 went down a rabbit hole, and I just concluded the podcast. I said, we'll just reschedule for a later time, because what I do is I do the interview, and then I edit it, and then I broadcast it. I make sure I get their consent first before I release it. So, but no, it's been a great honor for me to be along the people that have the passion to help our Gold Star families and honoring our fallen men and women. So, you guys mind if I give a shout out to my board?
Oh, no.
Yeah, not at all.
The reason, these type of missions are not possible without your team that you have on board. And this is probably one of the best boards I've been a part of leading. But I'm going to lead because, I'm still learning new things from them. It's a part of the growth. So, my vice president, Jessica Cross, she's a patriot. Her dad was in the army for almost 30 years. My secretary was Sherry Henningsen. She's an Iraq combat veteran. My beneficiary officer is Annie Cox. She's a Gold Star recipient. She lost her husband in Afghanistan. My treasurer is Lou Granadovich. He's a patriot, smart kid, because he's an accountant. When it comes to numbers, I don't know crap about that, So when it comes to that stuff, my community outreach is Bobby Bunch, another Iraq combat veteran, very, very outgoing, and brother. I have a VSO on our board, Corey Hawk. He served in Iraq as well. my outreach community out, another community outreach, Amy Hess. She retired in a veteran. She was she's a Gold Star recipient as well. She lost her son Benjamin to the 22 a day, so she lost her son to suicide. My logistics is Eric Swanson. He got me started. Marine, known Eric for 14 years, and there's nothing bad I can say about that man because he gives us all to all our brothers and sisters out there. It doesn't matter now. Right now he's on his way to Washington for the rally.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So he's on his way out there. He did 3 tours in Vietnam on recon. A veteran outreach again is Leo Doc Kahlberg. He did 3 tours, three and a half tours in Iraq, and has received 3 Purple Hearts as a combat medic. And then Randy Cashin, he's a patriot. AJ Gross, he's been instrumental in my missions as well. He's our creative liaison officer. He's the one that designs our logos and stuff like that for my missions. But his wife is Jessica. He's a great man. Rory Leonards, he's a patriot as well. I mean, in all the volunteers and stuff that we have that leading this type of mission, it's just an honor to be amongst them. And I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart because, alone we could do so little, but together we can do so much. And that's what it's about. So, and shout out to the sponsors that we've had through the years. But this one for this year is NTI, Matt Stern, Centennial Home Improvement, Mark Ryan, Top Shape Gym, Ryan and Associates, Local Union 25, Storage Innovation, GT Sports, Double Barrel Drinkery, Tito's, Simply Modern, and Modern Woodman. Those are some of the early sponsors we have thus far. And there are more coming in. And that's what makes this possible is for honoring the families there and the honorees that we are honoring this year. Everything that the mission will coincide with the September 11th attacks. So every year in September, the second week of September, we hold a dinner, and we hold the following on Friday, and on Saturday we hold a ride. So, and that's open to, not just for motorcycles, but for vehicles as well. And it's a local ride in honor of all of our fallen. But we honored 3 families at the dinner. And this year we're honoring Marine PFC Nicholas Skinner. He was KIA in Iraq. He was only 20 years old. He was killed in 2004. He was by the Mahdi militia. So he was KIA, and then we're honoring 2 for mental health this year. Army Specialist Josh Ambeg. He was only 22 when he lost his battle to the darkness, and then Sergeant Brandon Ketchum. He was only 33 when he lost his battle to the darkness. So it's and like I said, just in the last month alone in this area, we've had 3 active Marines that lost their lives to the darkness. But within the last few years, we've lost in this area between 60 to 70 to suicide, which is an issue that does plague our veteran community. There's no question about that. When I first started this particular mission, doing the research from 2001 to 2020, we've had over 120,000 veteran suicides. Compared to we lost 7,000 to 8,000 in Iraq, Afghanistan combined. Yeah. And then I did an update on it recently, and from 2001 to 2022, we are up at 140,000. So it's not getting any better. and actually, what can we do different? You know, they could pass all the bills and all the laws they want, you know, or pop us with pills and stuff like that. It's not going to affect it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of structure when we ETS into the civilian world and not keeping our mind right. That's why a lot of veterans per se that have trouble adapting to civilian life. You know, there's a estimated 2 million souls incarcerated in U.S. jails, and 10% are said to be veterans. So, yeah, it's not a good thing.
No, not. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the missions that you guys do? Like, I know you talked about the second week in September, but some of these things throughout the year for these families that you find. What are you guys doing on your missions?
Okay, but what we do as a board, we bring in a list of names of who we're going to honor, and we decide who we're going to honor as a board, and they're all as deserving as one another. And not to say that we won't honor them in the future, but we vote on the name, and once the vote is done, we reach out to the families to make sure that they let us honor their loved one. And once we get the go ahead, then we proceed with the announcement of who we're honoring this year. So, but the events that we hold different events throughout the year. We get invited to car shows or to events to spread our mission leading up to the dinner and the ride.
So you guys, so you do it once a year that you honor these? So you in September is when you guys do your honoring?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure if there was things that you did throughout the year or so a lot of this kind of intertwined with the Patriot Guard where you guys are doing rides and
yeah. But Anonymously Grateful is the nonprofit, and I am a part of the Patriot Guard. I've been part of the Patriot Guard for 14 years. And Eric Swanson, my logistics guy, he's in charge of this area of Patriot Guard riders. So, and the missions we've been on as Patriot Guards sometimes cross with the people that we are honoring, if that makes sense. You know, but we still vote on it as a board that to see who we're going to honor for the year.
Yeah. So do you guys pick the families that are in Iowa, or do you expand out past Iowa? I know when you talked about you did the SEALs, you'd go to Virginia Beach or to Coronado, but the ones that you're honoring this year, are they all local-ish?
Yeah, they're all local-ish, and by surrounding areas, I mean Iowa, Nebraska, all the surrounding states. Once we get a vote on the families, we proceed and contact the families. If we find a family that is not in the area anymore, and they may live in Texas, we would write out to Texas and deliver the check because they're originally here from Iowa. If that makes sense.
Got it. Yeah. Yep. So they either the service member either enlisted while they were in Iowa, or they currently live in Iowa, like at their time of their death.
Yeah. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
So what all are you guys doing? So you're saying you deliver a check. So I know that, you do these runs and these rides and things, and I know that you can raise a lot of money that way. What kinds of things are you guys doing to honor these fallen? Just so people watching can know what you guys are doing.
Well, we, like I said, at the dinner, we present them with a gift from the sponsors and the people that donate of a certain amount. And the reason that we call it Anonymously Grateful is once that gift is given to the families, there's not that pressure of having to gift it back or they could enjoy the gift and not stress about, well, what am I getting this money for, and just have them know that their son or daughter was remembered. Even like last year, our last year's mission, we honored Bradley Courthouse. His mom was Marilyn, and Brad's dad had passed a year after Bradley was died in Iraq. So it has a very emotional impact on the families once they lose a loved one, and as a Patriot Guard rider, you see that, you experience that, and being an empath, you wish you could just do something about it, but other than offer your condolences, I try to give them a real tight hug. I mean, that's the only thing, and wish them my condolences, and a hug goes a long way with the families that lost a loved one. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we talk about it so much, not only just here, but me and my own circle of everything that I have going on, that the service member dies twice, and the first time is when they take their breath for the last time, and the second time is when their name is spoken for the last time. And it seems like you guys are ensuring to these families that their loved ones are not forgotten, whether it's due to the suicide epidemic, or it's their service in their service. So yeah, it's extremely humbling to know that there are people out there that are still honoring those who are no longer with us, no matter what their circumstances were, right? Because it's one of those things. I've met a lot of Gold Star families, and their biggest concern is that, one, that their loved one's going to be forgotten.
Exactly.
So, we say their names as much as possible. I mean, the Gold Star families, when they talk about their loved one, they don't say my son, my son, my son. They say their name over and over and over again, right? Mm-hmm. Because for somebody that may have never met that person, when you leave that conversation, you feel like you know that person now, right? Yep. So I don't know, there's one of these rows here is a bunch of coins from families that I've met, Gold Star families, that they had done for their loved ones. And when I meet that family and learn about their loved one, I come home and teach my kids about it. All right. Every single one of these coins has a story, right? And that's attached to it.
That's amazing.
And my oldest will ask, hey, what's this one represent? Or what's this one mean? And my youngest is getting there. He's 14. So he's still real, young and immature and naive. But, especially when the Gold Star ones, he wants to know, my oldest wants to know who the person was. And he's met a bunch of the Gold Star families too, and has been able to serve them in different capacities through nonprofit too. So it's great that, you're doing what you're doing, and you have a board that is completely on board with what you want to do and honoring the families, especially out there in the Midwest, where there's not a whole lot. I mean, I say we're Midwest, but we're not. Kentucky, Ohio's not Midwest. I don't care what anybody says. Geographically, geographically, it may be, but if you're not past Indiana, you're not Midwest. I'm sorry, you're just not. So
even being mid.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't.
Yeah. So I mean, that's my personal, right? That's how I feel. I'll put it to you that way. I don't want to offend too many people that live in Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, that consider themselves Midwest, but we are not. Period. I'm from the Northeast, as far as you can go Northeast, right? That I can say, right? Maine, you don't get any further Northeast than Maine. It just doesn't happen. Actually, technically you can, because the tip of Alaska is still is east, right? So
sure. And I know this is probably southern compared to Maine, but like people in Kentucky that talk about this being southern, I'm like, well, what? No, we are like the farthest north of southern you could possibly.
Yeah.
No, right. There's not a lot in the width.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. And there is nonprofits, right? But because the land and the population is so sparse, it's hard for some of the families to get to some of these events, especially if they have to do it on their own dime.
Yeah.
Right. But with you guys being able to present the family with, a token of gratitude, right? Whether it's a monetary thing, whether it's something that's tangible that sits on their shelf for the rest of the time. I'm sure they're extremely grateful, especially knowing that their loved ones not forgotten.
Yeah.
And I think, when it comes to the combat death, right, that is more recognized than the training death, right? Even though they're both still Gold Star families. And then you talk about, the White Star families with those that have committed suicide, or now the Green Star families, so there's just so many things. And the White Star and the Green Star families are more forgotten, right? Because it's not as publicized. It's not as prevalent because they don't get the big pomp and circumstance from big military sometimes. So, yeah, but the fact that you guys are honoring those that are, losing the battle here at home means a lot to me personally. I've lost 8 friends, whether they were, and I say friends like guys that I served with, that a sergeant major of mine, a lieutenant colonel that I served underneath, my very first roommate. So, guys that I've met through different nonprofits that just COVID 2020, when everything shut down, it got to them, So, or other circumstances that have happened that, the guys and girls decided they didn't want to be here anymore. And, I take that with me every day, everywhere I go. And, the fact that you guys are doing it means a lot, especially on my end.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like I said, what can we do differently to combat this? Because obviously, like the laws and everything else the government's trying to do to prevent the number of suicide isn't working. And every month I hold a breakfast for veterans, where I have guest speakers and stuff like that. Come in, get fed, get that camaraderie, and dealing again. You may not have served together, but you were probably in the same type of Badlands at different times, but there's that common bond right there.
Yeah.
That you were there. You may not have been there during the active time, but you were still there. If that makes sense. I hope that helps. I got speakers. I got our congressman, Michael Beltran. He comes, our mayor of this part of Davenport, Iowa, Mike Matson. He's involved now. He was a special ops ranger during Desert Storm and stuff like that. So we have our community is very veteran friendly per se, and I'm glad, but we need to do more than just pop everybody with pills and shit. We need to get everybody on the same page to get them to talk about their problems, even if it's amongst us around a table over coffee and donuts. We got to ask each other, are you okay?
Yeah.
Because obviously they don't want to tell their close friends or family that they're battling something because they don't want to worry them.
Yep.
And
for sure.
And it's last night I went to an event. You ever heard of Kevin Hines? No,
have not.
He was one of the original gentlemen that jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived.
Oh, yes.
And I met him last night, and his story was amazing as far as how he told it. And it just God works in ways that they want to use us He wants to use us as vessels to help others, and that's what he is doing, and that's I think what HomeFront is doing and what we do. There's a lot of great organizations out there. You know, Gunny, you work for a few, and Candace, I know you do too, and a lot of great organizations are out there that we're making a difference for that particular part of your missions. Is just getting the people or the vets to open up and participate in that, to let that wall down, because we as veterans, when we get out, we put this wall up, you know, a wall of trust. And when someone breaks your heart, or you lose a job or whatever, you know that wall keeps getting higher and higher until you close yourself off, and then that's where the depression comes in. You turn to alcohol and drugs, and you know, I got a friend now that's in that committed himself to the Dom because he was just losing his battle with alcohol. So it's you know, I've been sober for 6 years, thank God, but it's a rough road when you fight a mental illness that you don't think you have, you know, and you don't think you have because we're stubborn. We're built that way because we're the alpha males, you know, and you know, and the last summer, we rode out to Montana, Red Lodge and stuff, and when I go through my episodes, I'm not sure if you do the same thing, Gunny, is I shut down. You know, I don't want to deal with people for 2 to 3 days. I just shut down, and I'm easily angered and irritated. And then, and at that time, I told my wife, I go, you know, you go ahead and stick around. You know, she rides too, so I said, you could ride your bike back. I'm just going to take off. It's not fair to you, you know, and yeah. So,
I go fishing and just get that complete earth/mental reset. Matter of fact, the 6th and 7th of June is going to be one of the resets for me. I'm going fishing. I'm unplugging everything, and I'm just going to be present with the water and the fish.
Yep, that's in end of July. Heading to Glacier National Park, riding out there.
Nice.
There's this part of Montana, a glacier that I want has been calling my name for the last couple of years. So I'm gonna make it there this year. So
heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jose, we're approaching that 8 o'clock hour. It went by faster than I realized. But yeah, you know, Reese Cross America Radio restricts us down to hour and 5, hour 10.
Okay.
So is there anything else that you want to cover? Is there anything that you think you missed?
Just if you have family that is struggling, that are veterans, or regardless if they're struggling at all, make sure they're okay. Just ask them, are you doing okay? Reach out to the Gold Star families, the White Star families, you know, someone that lost someone to suicide in the veteran community or in the civilian community, because suicide's not a pretty thing. And if they want to learn more about Anonymously Grateful, go to our webpage, anonymously-grateful.org, or our Facebook page. And if you want to hear stories of local veterans in this area anyway, go to my podcast, My Generation, a Silent Warrior's Memoir. They talk about their experience from Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, Chris Connell, my neighbor. And I have a husband and wife there that served in Iraq together. So it's a way of them healing. And that's what it's about. It's about getting everyone to heal. It's about getting everyone to surrender. Surrendering is not a bad word. Once you know, surrender doesn't mean we're defeated. You know, we'll still beat everybody's ass. It doesn't matter. But surrender is letting go of the things that are bearing you down. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thank you so much for letting us spread our mission. AnonymouslyGrateful.org is our webpage, and if you guys feel free to donate, there's a Venmo and a PayPal on our page, and don't hesitate to reach out. Shoot me a message. I'm on social media and on on Facebook, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or that anyone may have about our organization.
I was going to say, appreciate you coming on board. Thanks for taking the time. Again, we know that, everybody has a life outside of, this podcast. So it's greatly appreciated for sure. I'm sure Willis will reach out to you once he gets back online from doing whatever he's doing. But I know Candace and I greatly appreciate you coming on tonight and taking your time and talking about your mission and what you guys are doing out there.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Sir, thank you.
All right. God bless.
Man, I tell you, that's probably one of the hardest things to do is to honor the fallen, right? And all the emotion and everything that goes with it.
Especially when you have the family, because it's very fragile. There's lines there. There's really gray areas of, permissions and things that you're wanting to do for somebody, and then that family and the things that they want for that loved one, and being I don't being around those families. And you have experienced that so many times yourself personally with some of these families, and especially with the jumps and things that you do, how emotional that is, and honoring these fallen. It's a wonderful mission. It's beautiful.
We had that last Monday. So what, 5 days ago, 6 days ago, we had 6 Gold Star mothers that attended the event, and they were there last year. We've done the same event for, I think this is our 3rd year. And they're like, we remember you from last year. Thank you so much. And we jumped a photo of all their loved ones in last year. And, we remember I still have the photo. There was one lady that was there the first year that couldn't make it last year and came back this year. She's like, I still have the photo. I greatly appreciate it. And it's just, the joy that we receive from them, right? Even though they've experienced loss. We have one lady, I can't remember if it was her husband or son from Vietnam. And every year she's extremely grateful that we come to that event and honor her loved one. And it's been 40 years, 50 years since Vietnam. So, but yeah, I just, to be able to honor the guys and girls that are no longer with us, whether it's from the veteran community, the first responder community, or someone that you were really close with, but yeah. And for everybody out there, it's okay to take off the pack every now and again. It's okay to lighten the load. You don't have to fight whatever you're fighting alone. There's plenty of people out here that experienced the same or similar things that you're going through. And, I'll be an ear. Candace will be an ear. Willis will be an ear. Hell, call your neighbor. Go talk to your neighbor. It's okay to talk about it. You don't have to hold it in. The longer you hold it in, the more the demons start to bite at you.
It's you, Deed. You always say, be somebody's stranger.
Well, that's Willis. Willis is be somebody's stranger.
Well, is he?
He is.
Is he?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. You're not alone. Look, Willis has me all messed up on him.
Right. So yeah, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Again, you don't have to fight this alone at all. I mean, the VA, if you feel they're not there, they are. There are people there that want and are willing to help you. Whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's that stranger down the street. Don't let the dark days win. And then we go to Willis. Be somebody's stranger, and exactly that. If you see somebody walking down the street, you ask them how they're doing. They might unload on you. They might just be having one of those days that they're going to let you know their whole life story, the events from the time they were born to right now. Or they just might be talking about what's going on in their life at the moment. So it could be a 5-minute conversation, could be a 5-hour conversation, but, or let somebody be your stranger, either or.
For sure.
And then, we talked, Jose mentioned it earlier, ask people how they're doing. All right. But then you got to ask that next hard question. How are you really doing? What's really going on inside? Again, yeah, you got to be prepared for that conversation because it could be heavy. But again, it's all right to not carry that with you. You know, that's something that person wanted to take out of their pack and share with you. Doesn't mean you need to carry it. You can let that go. You can drop, you don't have to put it in your pack and carry it. Not at all. And why is that, Candace?
Because it takes a village. Like, you just listen to Jose's board, the amount of people on there. It takes an entire village of people that may not have connected in some way. And you really never know. You never know who your village is. And don't think that it's just your family, because there's people everywhere out there that are willing to go through it with you or listen. And, you know, what we do big here at Homefront is that networking and creating that village for somebody that needs something. We got you.
Yeah. And your village could change. It doesn't have to be the same people. I cannot tell you how many times my village has changed from the time I left Howland, Maine to today, right? Almost 28 years. My village has constantly changed. You know, the one constant is my family, my mom, my brother, my sisters. But outside of that, my friend groups have changed. The guys and girls I've served with have changed. I mean, hell, I didn't know Candace until, you know, a year ago. So, you know, your village will grow. Your village will get a little bit smaller. It will fluctuate from time to time, but it does.
Hey, I am proud to be a part of your village, Dee.
At least somebody is.
I am.
At least somebody is. Oh man, it's 8:03, Candace. But
I'm not.
yeah, Willis will be back tomorrow. Who do we have tomorrow? What's that?
I won't be here tomorrow.
You won't. Yeah, you've got Marine Corps League. So we'll miss you for sure. But, you know, the good thing is I'm back for this week. Willis doesn't have to do it alone, because I know it's painful for him sometimes, because he has this monitor, he has this monitor, he has his phone. He's looking at 15 different things.
He had to do it alone last week.
Yeah, I know he did.
I was like, ah.
Yeah, I was jumping on the plane and I'm watching. I'm like, man, he's going to have a hard time. Candace is not. But yeah, no more 9 to 5 club is who is the guest tomorrow. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Homefront Sitrep, on YouTube, on, oh my gosh, LinkedIn, on Facebook. And then, you know, got to give a shout out, obviously, to Heroes Media Group, Reese Across America Radio, Veterans Voice Radio, and Military United podcast streams. You can find us.
Go ahead. We are on Reese Across America every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern.
That's it. Yeah, right there across the screen, reaseacrossamerica.org/radio. And you can search Homefront Sitrep from there, or you can find us wherever you can stream your favorite podcast. Hopefully Homefront Sitrep is one of those. If not, let's try to make that one of your favorite ones. We got a great group of hosts and co-hosts and guests lined up for the entire year here.
And if you want to know about us and upcoming guests, past guests, don't forget to check out our awesome website at homefrontsitrep.com.
All right, Candace, you want to close us out for the evening here while I look for our outro?
I'll give them 2 seconds, because it only takes us 2 seconds to close out. It's been a great show. Thanks, Deeps. Always good.
Thank you so much.
But like we always say here on Homefront, stay safe out there. We got your
6.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.